Hey folks, look, it's been hectic times my end, but I did manage to get out on the long weekend for the opening of trout season, and more recently I finally had the chance to get that 44 magnum I've got and put that to work on some pigs locally, so it's been a good time. I've also got a recipe for wild duck spring rolls for you, so without further ado, hope you enjoy. Well, hey folks, it's just running a bit high, but you know, October long weekend, it'd be rude not to get into it. Rude not to have a crack. Anyway, it's just good to be out. About an extra foot of water than it usually is with a bit of high flow, but I can see into it. Very similar to what I had on the June long weekend. It's been a day or two since it's rained. It was heavy rain. So who knows, it might even clear up gradually across the course of the day. So yeah, getting into it. Well, I just tied one on just to see how it'd go. Just a little test cast and straight onto a little brownie. Lovely brown trout. Gorgeous. And goodbye. Oh, shit. Yeah. Oh. Nice. There's a rainbow. Stay on. What a take. Excellent. Beautiful. Well, they got some energy to them. Lovely. Beautiful. That's a brown and a rainbow. Super nice. See you later, buddy. It's a bugger I didn't get that one, but that's... Oh, gorgeous green rainbow. It was a real slow take and it just dragged it straight into a hole. Not much to see, but come here. Come here. Oh, nice fish. Really nice fish. That's a... Wow. Yes, yes. Oh! Ha ha! Good fish! Super good fish! Aren't you a bloody beaut? On that grub again. That's a lovely 40 centimetre. Wow, so much life in it. Lovely 40 centimetre rainbow buck, or rainbow jack as they call them. Well, I had plans to go out this arvo. Looks like the weather has cooked that plan. There's nothing wrong with that at all, because I'm so keen to try this recipe. Folks, this afternoon I'm going to make wild duck spring rolls. And I want to thank a mate for the inspiration and sharing this recipe with me. There are some amazing supporters of this channel who never want to have their face over the YouTube, which is totally cool. But you know this person, if you have an R license. That little noggin there, with the orange hat on. It's that bloke. Thank you, man in the orange hat. I'm just all about taking game meat, wild fish, anything you've grown, and completely interchanging it with what you'd ordinarily cook with in an average week. And I think this recipe does that fantastically. The other great thing about being able to make spring rolls at home is that you get to have complete control of all these wonderful fresh ingredients. And I'm looking at shiitake mushrooms here, I'm looking at beautiful fresh cabbage and ginger and all of this good stuff. Let's get into it. Let's get started. So just to kick things off, let's just talk about the base ingredients. Of course, first things first, it's actually the last game bird flesh I've got in my freezer, and that's two beautiful breasts of a Pacific black duck taken in this last Victorian duck season. Mate, thinking of Troy Skeen, big shout out, man. Folks, if there's anything about this recipe that's getting you keen on waterfowl, duck hunting in general, and you haven't checked out Honker Hunters by Troy Skeen already, guys, check him out on Facebook, check him out on YouTube. He's got some fantastic videos and just building up a whole database of fantastic basic, intermediate, advanced duck hunting advice. As for all the vegetables we're going to have in the filling, we've got a wombok cabbage. Probably won't be using all of that, but that's fine. I'll use the rest of the stir fry tomorrow. Ginger, if you can manage some fresh ginger, I highly recommend using that. carrots, spring onion, and of course we all need to wrap spring rolls. I haven't worked out how to make my own spring roll wrappers yet, and it's probably against the economies of scale to do so. I just picked these up in the frozen food section of the supermarket. As for the flavourings, we're going to need some sesame oil. We're going to need some fish sauce. Can be interchanged with soy sauce if you're not a fan of those flavours. Salt and pepper. We've got some oil to deep fry them in later. That's just coming in a moment. We're going to need some corn flour. I'm going to use that as a bit of a glue to help wrap the spring rolls. And for later on, any kind of dipping sauce that you'd like. I'm a man of simple pleasures, and sweet chilies always tick my box. Now look, just to start off with, I am cutting each breast across the grain. Now it's lengthways, those fibres in the meat go that way. I'm cutting against the grain because that helps keep it really tender. So obviously the majority of the cooking in a spring roll is when they're all wrapped up and you deep fry them. But just to make sure that everything stays really firm and keeps that texture, I'm going to give it all a bit of a flash fry in the wok first, but not a long one. I'm going to add a little bit of oil, not much into the wok, and then just give it a really big solid stir through. Things like the ginger, you know, those help it open up those aromatics and things like that. I'm talking about 20-30 seconds, too long or any longer than that. Everything's going to get a bit soft. I'm going to avoid that. Oh, now I can smell that ginger coming through. Well, here's the mix. And I didn't want to add this in with the cooking because I just wanted to maintain that crunch. Just some spring onions on top of that. And this will be the glue that we use to keep it all together when we fold up. And just with a single wrapper, I'll fold that first bit to start. And I'm probably going to have, well, maybe a similar amount of filling, but just spread out a little more evenly across the roll. That. Okay. Flip her over. Tucking it in. Alright, well that seems to be making a little more sense. And not forgetting to add a little bit of cornstarch as a glue. Rolling her right over. Cool. We're making spring rolls. Oh, well, you know what they say, practice makes perfect. It all tastes fantastic. Just got to get this wrapped down pat. There we are. I'm using a lot more of the cornstarch here. Going straight onto that. Beautiful. Look, I'm stuffing up these ends a bit. They're going to just get crispy in the oil. It'll be fine. Oh, there's the last two. We're ready for a fry up. Alright, exciting times now. I'm going to get them in the hot oil. Probably do 4 at a time. Actually, I might even do 3 at a time just to make sure that all's good. On with the fan again. I've had hot oil in here for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes heating up, and she's right where she needs to be. Just turn that down a little bit. And I'm just going to cook these until I reckon they're ready, that golden brown, no more than a couple of minutes. Oil's pretty shallow, so I'll have to flip them. Bloody ripper. They're actually cooking quite quickly. Trying to keep that temperature under control so I don't overcook them too early. Oh, that smells fantastic. Oh, I can feel that crispiness. That's awesome. Well, without further ado, just because I'm proud of it, I don't know, a bit of a garnish. Why not? Beautiful, tender, juicy. Well, if you don't mind. She's a winner. Oh, folks, this wasn't that big. Didn't take that much time. Jesus, different. These are the best spring rolls I've ever enjoyed. I'm serious. I tried them once before, had a few stuff-ups with them, and this is a massive improvement on them. Just the texture. Oh, just loving it. Bro, thank you so much for getting me onto this recipe. Folks, if you've got different ways of doing this, as per usual, please feel free to share. Not just for my benefit, but for everyone's benefit who's watching. We just got to keep the inspiration going. Folks, this is a wonderful way to enjoy a wild duck. I hope you guys can enjoy something similar or the same. Get into it. Let's get it natural. Well, I haven't actually hunted this way before. Just a big patch of native hardwood. I got a feeling there's some goats in there. But more than anything, I just want to go in there and check out the country. There might be some pigs down the bottom, but we've had a lot of wet weather. And that kind of just spreads them all out a bit. Doesn't really matter. Any excuse to go for a walk is a good excuse. So I'm still stuck using this Celia and Bella ammunition, 240 grain. It's like my gun just doesn't love it. It hasn't been grouping very well with it, and I've been looking for that Hornady Lever Revolution stuff for a while now. Obviously there's an ammo shortage at the moment, but yeah, desperate to get my hands on some of that stuff. And now that all this lockdown bullshit seems to be wrapping up, I might be able to get down to some of the bigger gun stores in Sydney and see if they can order me in some. Thank you to everyone who recommended that stuff, because it's been pretty universal. Like 90% of recommendations were for the Hornady Lever Revolution, so really looking forward to putting them through this gun. This ammunition, it doesn't group that well. That doesn't mean it's inaccurate. I just need to keep it within a closer range. Eventually I'll be able to get a lot more out of this gun when I can actually try the right ammunition for it and work on it at the range a bit. I don't know if the red dot will stay or not, but I'm just going bush for a shoot. Basically, I'm just keen to get out there, so yeah, feel free to enjoy the adventure with me. Good times. Well, so we do have a bit of goat poo, which is a good sign. And further back down in the clearing there, I found some older pig sign, so that's good. And I can imagine at other times of year, that being such an arid patch, that most animals would probably stick down lower in the gullies to get a feed, be out of the weather, just to stay cool. This place gets very, very hot in summertime. So that's good. That's all within like the first 10 minutes. It's extra good. I found a local.
You're long. Now, it's mid-arvo and I've got to the furthest point that I plan to go on my day, and I really wanted to get this far. It's been about, I don't know, 3 kilometres as the crow flies, probably 5 kilometres once you do these ups and downs, but it's worth it. I just found something cracker down here and I had a hunch it's worth coming to check it out. Now, short it's old, it's a cracker deer rub here, and it's just thrashed all the way to the top. Now I learned some very simple, important things from seeing something like that. You think, oh, it's a bit old. What it means is, in years gone by, deer, stags, and I'm certain it's red stags, come up here during summertime because this whole gully here is south facing. You see how lush it is? I mean, it looks even lusher because there's a lot of this weedy stuff coming up. It's a nice little drainage for a couple of little creeks, and then flattening out here before it goes down into the rest of the valley system. It's the only place that'd be cool with a feed and a little bit to drink for the deer during summer, and they don't want to move that far. And summer's that time when they're in velvet and they're going to start rubbing it off to get ready for the rut. So all this tells me is it's worth coming here, for one. Two, I want to be paying a lot more attention to this spot during summertime, and I won't come the way I came. I'll find a way to come from the top down first thing in the mornings. Anyway, I'm excited. What would be ideal though is if on the way back to the car, because I've got a long walk now, I found something to shoot, the old 44. But it's hunting, we'll see what happens. Always having a crack. I can't fucking believe it. I don't know how it didn't hear me talking, but that whole time there's just a pig 20 metres over there. I'm gonna go and shoot it. One pig. Another sow. And the youngster. Good. There's just one further up here that I pulled the trigger at, and I saw a bolt after I shot, and I think the round might have hit a branch. I might have to look at the footage. But just any signs of blood I'm just looking for, just to be sure of it. Not taking the piss with that kind of thing. Well, shot some piggies. That's real good. Even better, I got them with the little beauty of a 44 Magnum, Marlin, 1894. And folks, yeah, for anyone who's been interested in the progress of this gun, you waited for a long time for an update, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I was just I was set on getting new ammunition for it, and just with the weird world we live in the ammo crisis, it is a bit of a crisis. It's very hard to get the stuff you want if you're after something in particular. But look, I just limited myself in terms of range. I said, look, ideally, 30 meters, but 30 to 40 meters max. And yeah, it's performed very well on these pigs. This one's had a complete pass through. This one was shot in the shoulder, right here. Oh, and you wouldn't see anything on the other side because it didn't pass through. So I'd say that round stuck on the other shoulder blade there. Now, a few little bits of learning. I went in here with the intention to have a walk and thought, well, look, maybe I could get an easy goat because I need some goat meat. And I thought it'd be a good way just to finally get a bit of action on film with this. And I just had the idea of a single goat stuck in my head. And I didn't find any goats today, but I found a mob of pigs. What that resulted in at the start of the day was me just taking 6 rounds with me, loading 4 up in here, and then having 2 in the pocket. I like to have them a few in the pocket. I like to be able to leave a forest with a few, because you never know when there's just, I don't know, a really quick emergency need. In this case, I could have taken those other 2 out of my pocket and gone for the rest of them, but I wasn't 100% sure that one of these had been finished off, and it had been, but I just wanted to be super certain of that, and that's why I like to have the extra rounds in the pocket for that, because that's important to me. But there was just no reason I shouldn't have loaded this tube up. I should have gone in here with full tube, just in case something like this happens, because there was a few extras that got away in the bush. I took 4 shots. The third shot, pretty sure hit a twig, which is a shame, because that was a bigger pig up there. I think it was still another sow. I don't think it was a boar. But it's good to get these 2 solid sows out of the system, because it's going to be the biggest breeding year for them ever. It already has been, really. In my last place, I found 4 running along the street as I was coming home from work. I couldn't believe it. It's just getting out of control. So yeah, shooting them with prejudice, basically, for the sake of the environment. I will definitely take some off that little one, and maybe a leg or 2 off these sows, because they're looking very healthy. This one looks pregnant, actually, so probably an ideal time to knock it out of the system. Oh, it's all a good time, as per usual, because with the days like this, I just think, I don't know an area, so you've got to see all of it. You've got to get in amongst it, and there's been plenty of gullies I've been in amongst where a bit of scattered old pig sign, but next to nothing. So it was worth me coming all the way here. Sort of cool snake. I see snakes all the time, but I just got to follow that one. It was fun. But all new country. Found a deer rub. That was sick. And everything about it makes sense that they'd be here, though. And as soon as I said, oh, cool, time to head home, that whole time I was talking to the camera, these ones had their head in the dirt over there, just doing their worst. So, yeah. Oh, lots of yarning, folks. Sorry about that. But, just super keen. I'm going to cut a bit up now. Those videos that I did on the field dressing and the skinning and the butchery, thanks everyone for such a positive response. Seriously, thank you. I'm so glad it was helpful. They were demonetized immediately. And I'm sure you guys don't care about having less ads on videos, but unfortunately I have to, because I need a little bit to help keep this whole thing ticking over. So obviously YouTube has reacted to, the raw nature and the amount of red turning up in the screen, and that's how I'm not going to show you me butchering these on film. And I'm going to maybe skip that out for a few videos just to see if that's what settles the algorithm down. The good times have been natural. Loving it. Loving getting into some piggies. Looking forward to a little bit of salted pork that I can smoke up or try something different with. And really glad to give this beautiful 44 Magnum a good workout. Folks, I just want to offer a parting thought that, our state's about to reopen, and it's not a moment too soon either. And there's so many people who are just so ready to get back out bush again, and so you should. You're entitled to. And one thing I'm just aware of is there's going to be an influx and there's going to be a surge all at once. And with that is also going to come a lot of heavy emotions and energy, frustrated emotions, relieved emotions, all of it, but a pent-up energy. Let's just make sure that with that, let's all bring an attitude of respect and love for our bush. That's all I'm saying. It's just been wonderful to see the place without rubbish, without the impact of, yeah, it's a minority of bogans, but it's just amazing what people can do when they get on the source, the damage they can cause, and just the scorched earth they can leave behind. And that's not most of us, but let's not tolerate it in other people, and let's certainly not allow it in ourselves. The good times are waiting, folks. There's more animals out there, there's more fish in the streams than ever before. There's been so much water in our landscape. The good times are waiting. So I sincerely hope that you're all looking forward to it. I sincerely hope that that optimism's back and the good times will be natural. Anyway, respect to all of you. Thanks for watching.